Picture this. You're walking into a high-end electronics store, eyes locked on the newest, sleekest smartphone. It has everything. An improved self-facing camera for the perfect selfies, a quad-core processor, whatever that is, a stylish new display, and longer battery life. You check the price tag and immediately feel your stomach drop. But you're already hooked. You're already picturing your life with this new marvel of technology. You take a deep breath, and you hand over your credit card. As you sign the receipt, you shake your head and mutter to the sales agent, "Well, that just cost me an arm and a leg." But wait, where did that phrase even come from? Today on Lexiconned, we're diving into the history, myths, and true origins of this expression. Like many idioms, the origins of cost an arm and a leg are a bit murky and, as is often the case, full of myths. One of the most persistent but completely unfounded claims is that it came from 18th century portrait painters. The story goes that artists would charge more for including arms and legs in a painting because they were more difficult to depict realistically. And while this makes for a fun theory, there's zero historical evidence to back it up. Imagine walking into a portrait studio in the 1700s. Excited to commission your likeness. The artist greets you warmly and begins sketching. And as you glance around the studio, you notice an odd pattern. All the finished paintings show subjects from the waist up. When you inquire about that, the artist smirks and says, "Oh, you want arms and legs? Yeah, that'll cost extra." I mean, it sounds plausible, right? But sadly, no. Records do not support this humorous tale. The first verifiable recorded use of the phrase actually comes from the mid-20th century. In 1949, a newspaper called the Long Beach Independent printed an editorial titled, "Food editor Beulah Carney has more than 10 ideas for homemakers who want to say Merry Christmas and not have it cost her an arm and a leg." Yeah, it's a lengthy title, but the phrasing suggests that it was already in use before it hit print. However, this is the earliest documented instance we could find. So, where did it really come from? Well, the phrase follows a long tradition of idioms that exaggerate financial or personal cost through metaphor. In earlier centuries, people used similar expressions like, "I'd give my right arm," to express extreme willingness to pay a steep price. There are also older phrases like "pay through the nose" or "it'll cost you your eye," both of which emphasize the loss of something valuable as a means of payment. Now let's take a detour into "pay through the nose." One theory suggests that this phrase dates back to Viking times, when Norse invaders imposed severe taxes on the Irish. If a person failed to pay, their nose would be slit as punishment. Now, whether or not that's true, the phrase has certainly stuck around, reinforcing the idea that high costs often come with painful consequences. By the mid-20th century, arm and a leg seemed to emerge as the go-to phrase for exorbitant costs. The timing suggests that it may have been influenced by World War II, a period where sadly many service members literally lost limbs in battle, giving the phrase a stark and visceral resonance. Imagine being a returning soldier, seeing prices skyrocket post-war, and using some gallows humor to cope, say something like, "This house costs so much, it's like I left a limb behind for it." It's easy to see how the phrase would catch on from there. Today, cost an arm and a leg is a staple of everyday conversation. It's used to gripe about everything from rent prices to luxury handbags. In pop culture, you'll hear it in movies, TV shows, and music lyrics, usually played for comedic effect. For instance, in one episode of The Simpsons, when Mr. Burns is asked how much something costs, he nonchalantly replies, "Oh, about an arm and a leg," as if he's actually considering that mode of payment. And speaking of pop culture, how about this? Remember the Pirates of the Caribbean movies? The character Ragetti, one of Captain Barbossa's comedic henchmen, sports a wooden eye. Now, if anyone could claim they literally paid an eye for something, it's him. This play on old phrases like "pay through the nose" or "to cost an arm and a leg" continues to be a fun device in storytelling. The phrase has even made its way into advertising and brand marketing. Some car dealerships play with the phrase in slogans like, "a great ride without costing you an arm and a leg." It's become a universal shorthand for financial distress, without needing to get into actual numbers. So, there you have it. Cost an arm and a leg didn't come from portrait painters, but rather from a long history of metaphorical body part pricing. First recorded in the 1940s, the phrase took off thanks to its visceral imagery, and it remains a go-to complaint about high prices today. Before we go, let me ask you this. What's the most ridiculous thing you've ever seen priced so high it made you say, "Wow, that costs an arm and a leg"? Drop us a line and we just might feature your story on an upcoming episode. Until then, keep your limbs and your wallets intact. As always, Lexiconned is written, recorded, and produced by me, your Logophile companion, TJ Martin. Thanks for listening.